Hello and welcome to Countrywide on Benue Television. I am Susan Ayo. The headlines. Benue State government to begin immediate employment of teachers. Senator Bagudu says recent nationwide protests forced federal government to listen to Nigerians' yearnings. Plus, NBA says domestic refining will end fuel scarcity. Now the news in details. The Benue State government is to begin immediate employment of teachers in the state. Governor Hyacinth Alia announced this Wednesday at Vandikia during the burial of to J. His Royal Highness Chief Clement Ogandian. According to him, the move is in fulfillment of his promise to upgrade the educational sector in Benue State. Correspondent Emmanuel Akura reports that the state government is targeting 9,700 teachers in the exercise. The reports.
The governor who says it is only through peaceful coexistence that development can thrive in the state, calls on the social-cultural organizations in the state to bring youth together under Young Farmers Club to access support from his government in order to invest in agriculture for food security and development. Worried about the frequent passing of first-class chiefs in the land, the state chief executive promises to ensure enthronement of men of integrity as their successors to uphold values of the land, even as they collaborate with his government to end insecurity in the land. He uses the late traditional ruler, Chief Ogandian, as an example of who he describes as a man of peace who loved development and impacted many lives, to call on the people to emulate him for the good of humanity. Catholic Bishop of Boko Diocese, Most Reverend William Avenya, who says death is a transition to new life, also acknowledges it as ordained by God to give humans passage to eternity, while emphasizing the need for the living to promote human solidarity in preparation for their passing. The spiritual father admonishes the people against extravagant spending on burials instead of caring for the living. He describes the late traditional leader as a true Christian who touched the lives of many in extraordinary ways.
Dying was regarded as a punishment. However, the death and resurrection of Christ Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life, has turned death to a mere passage to eternity.
In a funeral oration, a former governor of Benue State, Dr. Gabriel Suswam, describes the late Chief Ogandian as a man of integrity and a credible traditional ruler who stood for the peace and development of the state in Nigeria.
Somebody we've lost, and I would say that the Tiv nation have lost a great leader, someone who have stood for peace, who have stood for development of just not the state, but this local environment.
Meanwhile, the Catholic Bishop of Katsina Diocese, Most Reverend Isaac Dugu, who recounts the support of the late traditional ruler to humanity, particularly his priestly ministry, requests government to hand over missionary schools to the honors to enable them achieve their vision. Paramount ruler of the Tiv nation, the Totif His Royal Majesty, Professor James Ayate, represented by the Tokwande Chief Ambrose Otie, President General Mzo Tiv CPO Behia, and Special Advisor to the Governor of Bureau for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, who advocate unity among the Tiv people in order to achieve development in the land.
Government is not a spirit that will be everywhere to see what is happening. And that is why they have been carefully selected and elected to represent government in the rural councils. Please help government to help our communities.
Until his passing, Chief Clement Ogandian was the first-class traditional ruler of Vandika and Konshisha Intermediate Area. Emmanuel Akula, Benue Television News, Makudi.
May God grant him eternal rest. The Commissioner for Works, Housing and Urban Development, Tiza Imojime, has expressed satisfaction with the level of work on some roads project undertaken by the Governor Hyacinth Alia's administration across the state. He gave the indication while inspecting the underpass in Boko and some roads construction in Ihu, Vandikia local government's area during the week. Dosuduku tells us more.
Following the reformation of agenda in line with the present administration on infrastructural development of rural and urban areas, officials of the ministry in charge of overseeing these projects, led by the Commissioner, Mr. Tiza Imojime, visited some of the sites. Commenting during the assessment, Mr. Imojime observed that the infrastructure would help ease the problem of movement of people. In Hill Town of Vandika local government, the roads have reached substantial level. Inspecting the projects, the Commissioner for Works, Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Tiza Imojime, said he was satisfied with the work in progress and commended the contractors for a good job.
Well, Intasia is a construction firm that is well known and believes so much in quality. That's the main reason why they should be in Benue State, because the governor-led administration is one that takes quality or nothing. So far, they are on track, they're working fine. We've just made a few adjustments and we hope they stick to that and then we'll move faster. In terms of speed, they're still trying and everything they're doing so far is looking fine. For the second underpass, Bahas are doing their best. The basement for the retaining walls are completely done with, and then they've started installation of the retaining walls, and sooner or later everything will be done with. I think we're in the 6th month and we're meant to complete within 12 months, so we're in between.
Managers in charge of the project speak on their preparedness to deliver according to specifications.
We started with the drainages, as you can see. The excavation is ongoing and the lining is being done with the reinforcement in place. So basically, that is how far we have gone so far. We have done the clearing up to 1.6 kilometers so far.
So the assessment of the quality of the work itself, we've seen the blinding, the construction of the side drains is very, very good. The workmanship is very good. Also, the compaction of the sub-base at the level it is now is very, very commendable.
So far, we have done most of the base. We have done with the base work. Now, recently, we started the extension of the retaining walls. We would have done more than this, but our ions that we are supposed to be here, due to the strike, the protest, the national protest that delay the work, would have done more than this. What next? We need to do the subgrade, sub-base, and base course and asphalt.
Residents of the area expressed satisfaction with the present government. Recall that development of rural roads construction is one of the key things on the agenda of Governor Alia's administration. Dosuduku, Benue.
Concerned members of Benue State Community Volunteer Guards and Vigilance Group has called on Benue people to work with the present administration to end insecurity in the state. This call is contained in a communique issued Wednesday during a press conference at Woodland Park, Makudi. Correspondent Matthew Iklono was there and now reports.
Benue State has been plagued by various security challenges ranging from farmers' herders crisis, kidnapping, banditry and cultism. These insecurity challenges has taken a toll on the lives and property of the citizenry. In response to this concerned member of the society under the aegis of Community Volunteer Guards and Vigilante Groups Association are here, calling on the people of the state to work with the state governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, and his appointees to end the insecurity. The group leader, Mr. Teve Yaya, leads in the call.
We call on the good people of Benue State to come together and support the executive governor of Benue State, his appointees, in order to eradicate security challenges in the state.
Mr. Yahaya, on behalf of the group, calls on the influential individuals and political stakeholders to come together and provide useful information that will help to abolish the societal menace.
We call on influential individuals such as community leaders, religious figures, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, and other security agencies as stakeholders to play a crucial role in promoting peace and dialogue to de-escalate tension and prevent further violence with the state.
The group leader appeals to the governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, to assent to the formation and inauguration of the security outfit with the groups inclusive.
The security operatives you see here today are few leaders of the volunteer guide vigilante group in Benue State who were in existence years before that the state was in peace. There is no crime will be committed in this state and will not be detected. You an armed robber, you a courtesan, you a bandit, there's nowhere you go and plan your plan. There are plans in Benue State.
In their separate reactions, spokesperson from the three geopolitical zones of the state, Richard Nwabua, Zone A, Emmanuel Ahijo, Zone B, and Isaac Ujowu from Zone C, urged the governor to expedite action on the law establishing the Civil Protection Guard to enable the outfit discharge their duties of restoring peace in the state.
Without security, there will be no peace. And without peace, there will be no development. If we want our state to move forward, let us solidly stand behind the executive governor that divides us in charge of security matters to give timely information.
Security ko party ngushamiga and yoma I believe nyelu ko party ga but yoma nyevu tilevulu security hitalo Benue ya number never ne lu hen kra gbe mi an nenge.
We need adequate security, and this thing can only happen if the Benue State Vigilante, the Benue State Community Volunteer Guard are being formed, brought back together, and together we will work. And since security is everybody's concern, you will find out that the security that we have before in Benue State will come back alive in Benue State.
These calls were translated in the three major languages of Idoma, Igede, and Tiv. Matthew Ikulono, Benue Television News, Makurdi.
You're watching Countrywide on Benue Television. Let's take a quick break. Let's go away. Glad to have you back. The Federal Ministry of Education Wednesday said the federal government was working to avert another strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, rising from its National Executive Council meeting held at the University of Ibadan last weekend. ASU had given the federal government a 21-day ultimatum to meet its outstanding demands or lecturers would go on strike. Further speaking on Wednesday at a press briefing at the Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umodike, Abia State, ASU President Professor Emmanuel Osodeke insisted that lecturers would be forced to embark on another strike except the federal government meets their demands before the expiration of the 21-day ultimatum. But when contacted on the phone on Wednesday evening to react on the strike threat, the spokesperson for the Federal Ministry of Education, Folashade Biriowo, said that the federal government is working to avert the planned strike. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, has said that the recent nationwide End Bad Governance protest forced the federal government to listen to Nigerians' yearnings. Bagudu, who blames the country's current struggles on past administrations, said despite past mistakes, President Bola Tinubu has refused to play the blame game. The minister spoke at Nigerian Economic Summit Group National Economic Dialogue on Nigeria's economic future, 25 years of democracy and beyond. Speaking further, the minister said President Bola Tinubu has been very reluctant to reflect on the past and blame anybody, but the net effect is that, despite efforts by previous administrations, especially in the last 25 years, Nigeria is not what it wants to be. Following the police invitation of President of Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) Joe Ajaero for questioning over the allegation of criminal conspiracy, terrorism financing, treasonable felony, subversion and cybercrime, more critical unions, which are NLC affiliates, Wednesday gave a strike notice to their members to proceed on indefinite strike should Ajaero be arrested. This came on a day the International Longshore and Warehouse Union (ILWU), based in North Point, San Francisco, United States of America, petitioned the Nigerian embassy in Washington, faulting the perceived harassment and persecution of trade unions and their leaders in Nigeria. Among unions that had already given strike notice to their members are the National Union of Electricity Employees, Nigerian Union of Teachers, and the National Union of Textile, Garment and Tailoring Workers of Nigeria, and so many others. The MWUN, in a circular to its local leaders in all port formations in Lagos, Warri, Calabar, and Port Harcourt, said its members would comply with the strike directives. Deputy Secretary General of the Union, Oniha Erazua, said that the directives for indefinite nationwide strike was also extended to terminals, jetties, dry ports, and all export terminals. The Nigerian Bar Association has called for a full implementation of the directives of President Bola Tinubu of the supply of crude oil to Dangote refinery and modular refineries in the country, describing the establishment of the refinery as both a nationalistic and patriotic endeavor. The Umbrella Professional Association of Lawyers urged the federal government and Nigerians to support the Dangote petroleum refinery to end the reign of fuel scarcity and preliminary queues at filling stations in the country. It expressed disappointment that the major project is encountering strong resistance from fuel importers, who have stifled the economy and keep its reliance on imported refined petroleum products, despite Nigeria's status as a leading crude oil producer. The president of the NBA, Yakubu Maikyau, who led other leaders and members of the association on a visit to the facility, praised the president, chief executive of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, for remaining steadfast despite the opposition faced. He urged the federal government to create a supportive environment for the refinery, aiming to transform Nigeria into a net export of refined petroleum products and to alleviate the severe hardship caused by the fuel scarcity. With our reports, we've come to the end of our bulletin. Before we go, a recap of the top stories. Benue State government to begin immediate employment of teachers. Senator Bagudu has said recent nationwide protests forced federal government to listen to Nigerians' yearnings. We also told you that NBA has said domestic refining will end fuel scarcity. Thanks for being part of Countrywide and Benue Television. I am Susan Ayo. Remain blessed.